Welcome to jkgames, the gaming podcast where we bring you the gaming news we care about.
And maybe some that we don't.
And I'm messing up the intro, whether you play on easy mode.
I feel like a good challenge.
This is a show where we'll try to lift you up into space. Lift you up into space, because this podcast is all about Starfield and other random things. Another game that Kayla's been playing. Welcome to JK Games.
Hey, my name is Kayla. I am one of your hosts.
And I'm Jerica, your other host, and this is a show where we talk about video games. Who would have thunk it? If you're here, hope you like games. That's all we're talking about. Oh my god.
Wow, who would have thought we'd be here? Speaking of, CC in the chat already said, yo, dog, I heard you like podcast.
Oh, yes. CC in the chat. Welcome back. Glad to see you. Always supporting our streams, which we are super appreciative of. Thank you so much.
And hello, Gory Lori 13. We love to see you as well.
Gory
Thank
Lori.
You guys for coming back.
It's not.
Speaking of.
Oh, it's gory.
Yes.
Yeah, is it like gory, like, gory, like movies, like the
spooky season. I would assume so. I think so. That's the vibe that I get for sure. Well, if you have been under a rock for the past, when did it come out, Jerica?
Technically September 1st.
Oh yeah.
Are you talking about Starfield?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was just making sure, unless something else came out, which I wouldn't be surprised. It's been such a big year for games. It technically came out on September 1st. If you pre-ordered, you got early access, and then September 6th. So what day was? I don't even know. Time passes differently for me now that I've ventured onto other planets and solar systems. If you take a nap somewhere on this planet, 5 years might pass. So you have to be careful where you're sleeping. I'm just kidding. I don't think that affects the game like it should, but the time's weird when you take a nap in the game.
You know, I've thought about that actually. When I've seen a bed, I'm like, should I sleep?
Because I've seen Interstellar, and I think it's a bad idea to spend a lot of time on certain planets. If you want to go home to see your loved ones, they might be old or dead. If you're not careful, you take a little nap during the day, little cat nap. Well, little Susie back home, she's 90 now, so watch out.
No, I would love that as a plot twist for the game, but yeah. So it really is. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So obviously, given the title and given the conversations that we're having, we're going to be talking about Starfield today. Me and Jerica have both had a chance to dive in. Jerica's been streaming some. Hope you guys have checked that out. Jerica, have you had a good time streaming it?
I have. I would like to continue streaming more. I'm not going to be a little vulnerable right here. I was a little nervous streaming this game, and we'll get to it in a little bit. I was a little bit nervous just because the game's a lot to take in, and I was playing it, which I guess that's the joy of watching someone play it for the first time, is because it can be very intimidating, and I just I don't know how to play this game yet. I know how to play the game now, so yes, I will be back streaming, so you can follow Scooter's adventure through space. She's scooting all over the universe,
Scoot, brother. We love to see it.
That's it.
Awesome. Well, I have not gotten as much time as Jerica, unfortunately, but I do feel like I've gotten a taste enough to speak on it later. And just as a heads up, we're not going to be talking about any spoilers. We're just doing light impressions of the game. We're going to be talking about basic story and beats, some of the missions, but not doing any big story spoilers, anything like that. And then also, I wanted to spend some time talking about another game I've been playing, which is funny because I feel like, it's just kind of a similar name. It's not a similar game at all. Is Sea of Stars. If you guys anybody has been playing that, it's a great time, and I'll dive more into it later. But backing up.
Rewind.
Is it your first time joining us? Please be sure to check out our socials, which is just JK Games Podcast on Instagram.
I still have Twitter. Yet to do a TikTok, Kayla.
You gotta do a TikTok.
The heck is wrong? Here, I tried the other night. I made a little video and everything, but the part where I have to upload it, it's not where it's just it's on my computer. Now I gotta send it to my phone so I can upload it. Why can't I just do it all from the computer?
That's a great question.
I'm working on it. Can you get TikTok on a desktop, like a desktop ecosystem, or is it just on a phone?
feel like we sound old.
I know I am. So,
I don't know. Well, this is the first like really like application where I've felt like, yeah, this is not my generation of people anymore. Like it is, my time has come to an end. It is very unfortunate.
You're an elder
But-
Gen Zer. I don't know if you are or not. I don't know what that means. I've lost track.
I'm on like the cusp of being like a millennial and a Gen Z. So maybe you're right. That maybe that's the correct terminology. An elder Gen Z, I guess.
I don't know. Gory Lori says you can do viewer mode on desktop. So, would that help me
viewer, not
upload?
uploading.
Can I upload anything from the computer? Can I go to my
Probably not.
desktop and hit Safari and go to the
Click
website
and drag it.
tiktok.com and hit upload my video?
Elder emo, yes, that's what we love to see. Yes, you're exactly right. But anyways, definitely follow us over on those things. Follow Jerica's personal TikTok. Who knows? She might be posting some things.
Listen,
Who
it
knows?
looks like a lurker account right now, but I promise I have things I'm working on to I'm curating it. I just don't want trash on there, you know, my weird videos of my dog, or, you know, a video of this food I'm eating. Like, that's so boring. No offense to anyone who does that, but I'm gonna have a curated content on my TikTok. I'm just planning it out.
Yeah. You have to really curate it, honestly. You gotta also, if you're trying to curate your For You page, you gotta dislike some videos to kind of get away like the stuff you don't like.
Yeah, I got a lot of weird stuff on there that I'm like, I'm fine with, but if someone like went through my Instagram or my TikTok algorithm, they'd be terrified of me. They're like, what the hell is she into? That's so weird.
I feel like that's how you get really personal with somebody, is you get to see like what their videos are that they get.
That might be what I do when I, you know, if I leave this earth, one of my requirements is like, just give the world Jerica's algorithm. I want people to see who I truly was at the time.
Who she truly
and just
was.
really embrace these weird videos she likes to watch.
I want to know what it is now.
Maybe, you know, if we create a Patreon, I could put some of that content up there, like share some of my likes, my algorithms. I'll put them out there for all of you.
Let us know. If
I'm gonna put that behind a paywall, if you know what I'm saying. You gotta pay $1 to see that, ma'am or sir. Okay, I'm done now. I'll quit interrupting you now.
CC in the chat said, first go to the Google and type in the TikTok and follow the link.
After somehow downloading 17 viruses, yes. Yeah, that does sound like something I might accidentally do.
Can't forget the viruses, of course. But today is going to be a little bit of a different episode for us. So normally what we do is we lay out our episodes in an easy mode where we talk about what we've been playing, what we've been doing, things we've been watching. I told Jerica before we started, I've been watching Ahsoka, and it's really good, and you should definitely watch it. And be careful of spoilers. Jerica's waiting, which I respect that. Totally respect that. Just spoilers are everywhere. Speaking of the TikTok, you can actually block hashtags on the TikTok and the Twitter, X, whatever, if you're interested in not seeing spoilers for things. But the Star Wars people, they be leaking all the spoilers. You know, you gotta be careful. And then also, after that, we normally do a normal mode. News is a little dry this week, Jerica. It's a little dry.
Well, it's only dry for me because I haven't done anything else but play Starfield. Like, outside of that, I don't know anything that's going on.
I don't feel like I've seen much either, though, honestly. But I could, you know, something crazy could have happened and I would have missed it, but you never know. And then we'll talk about news and all of that. We don't have much this week, so we're going to skip over that and really just spend majority of our time talking about the games we've been playing, putting time into. I have one game that is on my wish list that I'll talk about later. It's a surprise. It just came out.
Okay.
I have not played it yet, so I don't have anything to say.
Okay.
But I'll just say it's totally left field from what the other things we're talking about today.
It's not a farming sim or a...
It is.
It is a farming sim. Okay.
It is.
All right.
It is. Not out of left field for me, but out of, like, different than the other two games.
Different than the games we're talking about. Okay. No, like, that seems to be a requirement for most video game showcases, is like you show one game full of gore that's really gory, killing demons, and then you go straight into like Fae Farm, you know?
Yeah.
and like the fairies and the farm sims. It's like they don't have
Exactly.
they don't. They're just pedal to the metal. You know, there's no transition to
You're
get
right.
you amped up for what's next or calm
For
down,
sure.
calm you down. Okay.
Well, before we get into the meat of the episode, the meat and potatoes,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you've been playing mainly Starfield, right? But you did also play some Destiny. Did you have anything to say? Isn't there's new stuff going on? Have you been playing anything else besides Starfield that you want to mention in our easy mode
I'm so thankful
before
for
we go
you,
in?
Sarah. I just called you Sarah. Just because we also work with another Sarah. That was very strange.
Yeah.
There also is a Sarah in Starfield, so maybe that's why. Actually, take that
Ah.
back. It's been really funny saying, "Oh, I might romance Sarah," and then like, no, I'm talking about this lady in the game. Okay, um,
Mm.
I'll get to that in a little bit because I have some thoughts on Sarah. Destiny. Yes, I'm thankful for you, Kayla, because you reminded me. Yes, I'm still playing Destiny, and there was a big event in Destiny last week.
Tell us.
A new strike came back from retirement. It's been in the vault. It got unvaulted. Is that the right term? Unvault? Vault.
Yes.
It got taken out of the vault, and it was a Destiny 1 raid. It was Crota, Oryx's son. If you don't know much about the Hive God lore, there's a lot there. And it's very interesting. But Crota was one of the coolest raids in Destiny 1. We call that D1, Kayla. D1,
Okay.
Destiny 1, D1. And they brought the raid back, and we tried to do it in contest mode, which contest mode, first weekend that the raid comes out, it always comes out on a Friday. It's the difficulty set at a higher level just because like they can't have everyone getting worlds first. Okay, they have to make it a little more challenging for like the best groups in Destiny to see who is gonna come out finishing the raid first.
Yeah.
But we worked very hard. We spent all of Saturday trying to do it, and then eventually we had to pause it. But I will say this, we got to the last encounter, and we've never done that on contest mode. We got to the very end. Well, I think second to the last encounter. And honestly, we could have still done it. I ended up having to work the next day, so they substituted someone for me. But they got really close. They got to the last encounter and got really close of killing Crota and finishing the raid on contest mode, but they did not. So maybe next time. We're going to do it. Like, that is a goal. It's like to do the raid on raid weekend in contest mode.
Is there like a time limit? I guess it's like you have the weekend.
You have until Sunday at lunch. So they ran out of time Sunday morning, unfortunately.
Got it.
Gosh darn, I was so bummed because I was actually sort of rooting. I was wanting them to do it, obviously, but I would have been mad if I wasn't there for it. You know what I'm saying? So when I heard they're like, "Oh man, we'll try again next time." So next time I'm off for the launch of the final shape, and I also took off the weekend the raid's happening, so I'll be off the whole time. So I prepared myself, and I am ready to finally beat a raid on contest mode. After contest mode was turned off though on Sunday night, we did like 2 clears. Did it again on Tuesday night. So easy when contest mode's off. It's easy.
Primed yourself up, too. When does the final shape come out again?
Oh, at the end of February, I think.
Okay. So you still got a while.
Oh yeah, we got plenty of time.
Is there anything tickling your fancy between then and then? Are you staying in Destiny, or is it kind of like, okay, you're just gonna kind of wait until that comes out, or what?
Well, luckily, with each week you get a new story mission, but
that's so cool.
That will only
I forget. Yeah,
that'll only go for so many weeks, and then I think there's like 8 weeks, and then after that, there's nothing else until the expansion. Yeah. So like, even though I'm not staying up to date weekly, I will have plenty of time to catch up. Because right now, I'm gonna be honest, like the next few weeks, all I'm playing is Starfield. Like I'm gonna beat that game and see where it takes me. Because like it's that good. It's peeled me away from Destiny. It has.
Nice. Well, cool. Thanks for giving us the rundown. Us people who don't know nothing about Destiny. That's me. All I know is what Jerica feeds me.
Anytime.
So what I have been playing aside from Starfield, so this came out right before Starfield came out, Sea of Stars. It came out on August 28th, and it's one that's intrigued me since it was mentioned. I forget where it was announced first, but I feel like it's been in development for a while. Because a lot of people in our group have been discussing it. I don't think it was on my fantasy league. I think it was on one of our friend Josh's. But it is a really pretty art style that immediately drew. Oh my gosh,
Drew
my attention.
Drew my attention.
But I will say one thing that is beneficial about this is the game is on Game Pass.
Mhm.
You can also purchase it on Steam for I think it's $30, I believe. Yeah, actually it's $35. Wow.
That's a
But it
steal.
is-
You know how much games are these
Yeah.
days? A lot of money.
For real, that's true.
That's
It
a
is
good
also
deal.
an indie game. It's a great opportunity to support smaller developers. It also is surprisingly a pretty big game. I looked it up. I have not even like scratched the surface finishing it. I'm only about, let's say, 3 to 5 hours I've spent around that time, and I've had a great time. But it's about 25, 30 hours from what I looked up. Obviously that's subjective, games, the time is, you never really know exactly how long it's going to take. CC said, I hit 21 and a half hours in Sea of Stars tonight and can't stop gushing about it to anybody who'll listen. Yeah, it's so much fun. I think I see Cognitive Clips was actually streaming it the other day, and I didn't get a chance to jump on, but it's so pretty. It's not like a game. It's not the style of game that I typically go for, which is why I'm very happy of how much I've been enjoying it. So it is turn-based RPG. You are following these two characters, and you get to pick at the beginning which one that you want to play as. Now, this doesn't affect your gameplay at all, which I think is important to mention because there is like a male and a female character, and one is more like sun inspired, and then one is more like moon inspired.
Is it like
so
Pokemon?
You have, like, this,
Pokemon.
Yeah,
Sun and
kinda,
Moon.
sorta.
I'm just kidding.
Actually, no, it's not like Pokemon at all.
It's not.
But if you haven't looked up this game, you definitely should at least to look at the art. So basically, I'm playing it on console via Game Pass, and it is entirely just your keyboard. I feel like this would be a good game to play on controller, but I'm playing on my keyboard. And then you're going as these two, they're young adults. You do a flashback and you play as them as kids and kind of see how they get to where they are. But they possess this magic that's called like solstice magic. So it's definitely fantasy. Definitely fantasy vibes, and it's a really good story. If you like to read, I feel like this is a really good game for you. It reminds me of a book, and this sounds crazy, but the book is called The Starless Sea, and this game is called Sea of Stars. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, the vibes are immaculate. This is a really good fall vibes game, and I don't really know how to describe it that way because it just feels like fallish while you're playing it. You're in this mystical library with this archivist is where you start out at.
Okay.
But yeah, so then basically all I wanted to kind of mention too, without again no spoilers, it's kind of I'm not the best at describing games as far as their it's pixelated, right? So it's kind of top down, or I think one of our friends Pierce said 3/4 kind of.
That's too much math already.
I don't know.
What I would ask you would be have you played any game that's like this, in terms of the art style and how you move your character around? Anything compare?
Honestly, just the way it kind of looks and the way you move, I would say Stardew Valley, weirdly enough.
Okay.
Because it also is a pixel style game where you move in a similar manner, like the actual movement style. But as far as the combat, it's completely different. Because like I said, it is turn-based. However, you do get the chance to kind of engage in the battle, right? So you'll be going against a boss, and again, you take your turns. When it gets to the character that you're fighting, it will go to their turn, but you can actually parry attacks, and you can also enhance your attack by doing certain button combinations. So there is a little bit more to it. It's not just okay, you hit me, I hit you. And you also have a skill tree. There are ways that you can level up your magic. You're learning, you as this character are learning as you play the game, learning new skills, picking up new things along the way. There's crafting. there is fishing, there's all these other kind of things that you can do so far in the game, and I'm only just like 5 hours in ish, so I would definitely recommend it if you are into the style of game, or really if you just love like a good, like aesthetically pleasing game. Like, definitely would recommend this one. It is kind of weird. There are like random kind of like anime style like stills. I think it's
Okay.
supposed to be kind of like a cutscene,
This was like,
but
is it animated cutscenes? But it is stills, so it's like,
it's stills. Like
okay.
it's like a cutscene, but it's like a still image, and it looks like anime style. So like if you're looking at the logo, like their like cover art, it looks like that kind of.
Okay.
But the developer is Sabotage Studio, and I think this is their first game. No, it looks like they have a couple other games. They have 2 other games. This is their 3rd game. No, 2nd game. They have another game called The Messenger.
Oh, yeah, I know The Messenger. Play a little bit of that.
Yeah,
That's cool. I didn't know
they
it was
made
them.
that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So
So,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely pixel games, definitely. Or at least that was a, side scroller. I would say, when I didn't play too much of it, but like a what they say, is it Metrovania, or what? There's like a slogan, not a slogan, but a name for like
That's the thing.
Vania games where you go
I
left,
have a
right, up, down. Like
yes.
what do they what's the word, like Metrovania? I might be butchering it, but y'all know what I mean. That's what The Messenger was. And then one other question I'd have for you.
Yes.
Sorry, are you about to? Did I interrupt you?
Metroidvania.
Thank you.
That's what you see in the chat. Thank
Metrovania.
you.
That's the kind of game it is.
No, you had a question. Yes.
Compared to, so have you played any other turn-based RPGs before?
The only
Or just turn-based games
one.
in general, which most of those are RPGs.
No, I think the only one I've played is like I played Persona 5 some.
Okay,
That's
I
really
remember.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I will say, like, I didn't think I was gonna like Persona because I'd never played a Persona game. Persona 5 was the first Persona game I've
Me
ever
too.
played.
Yeah.
And since Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, like the old games, like I
Yeah.
really just, and I sort of also like Final Fantasy. A few Final Fantasy games I played were also turn-based. Like, it's never been like my favorite thing, and what gets me by is like a great story. Some mechanics that make it addicting is always great. But ultimately, turn-based has just never been like, when I think of Persona, the thing that I'm not like, ooh, I love that it's turn-based. It's not the first thing that draws me to it. But I will say, like, if the story and the gameplay's fun enough, it's something I can definitely get around. But with this game, what I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are. It's, you are taking turns doing things, right? But in between, because I haven't really watched any gameplay, like, but I've heard that you are doing stuff in between those turns. Like you said, like parrying. Like you would, if I hit A to attack, do I do something else afterwards after I do my attack?
Yeah. So yes and no. So Chad in the chat, hi Chad. Jerica said, Jerica, the timing of the attacks and blocks makes it a lot more engaging than most turn-based games. I totally agree. So you're not really necessarily doing anything in between. Like when you're in the fight, you're in the fight, and so like it is. So you are playing with your companion in the game. Your like counterpart essentially, and you can also do like combo attacks, which are pretty fun. And you play as the other person too. So like you have your sun and your moon person. I forget their exact names. That's on me, but they have names. Just
Lisa and Gregory.
Perfect. But they're really cool. But yes, you get to like parry and block, and essentially like the attack timing makes or breaks your move. So to me, it is engaging enough to where I do really think you would like it, honestly. I'm gonna stream it one day so you guys can watch it, but watch me play it. But I'm not necessarily the best at the timing of the attacks. Like that kind of combat is not something I'm necessarily the best at. But
Yet.
like yet, like I said, though, it is very intriguing. It is very intriguing to me because I really enjoy this story. Oh, Chad said Zale and Valerie and Garl. Yeah, they have their like other friend that's with them. He's really funny. But
Girl.
no, I would definitely recommend it. Garl. It's a good time. I'm having a good time so
Well,
far. Chad, if you missed it, I'm only about 5 hours in so far.
I will say, when you told me you were playing, not that, like, I'm not saying, like, oh, Kayla don't play any of these games. She's not a real gamer. I'm not saying that. You know I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, like, you don't play it. And just the fact that you have 5 hours in, like, shows me that I need to play this game. Because, like I said, usually turn-based games are more of a turn-off to me, unless, like, the story's good and, like, the other things you're doing in the game are fun and addicting, like, make it worth my time. So back to
I surprised Jericho. Ooh.
Yeah, it was surprising that you're playing it. Not in a bad way. I think it's great. I'm glad you're playing it because like I haven't had time to even check it out.
It's beautiful. That's what drew me in. The art drew me in. It's what got me. I can't lie. And then it's on Game Pass, and so like
can't go wrong.
I didn't really have anything to lose. So, but yeah, that's my overall thoughts. Chad said I just hit 5.5 hours, so we're probably around the same time. But I do feel like it's taken me longer to get where I am because I like to explore. I really like walking around. Like there's a pretty big map, Jerica, as well, and you can kind of do like side stuff as well. Like there is some like explore elements to it, and you kind of get a little bit of free reign. Like there is definitely a linear story, but there's a little like there's some puzzles as well, and you have to kind of like navigate your way through this like landscape. So, but yeah, that's my overall thoughts. Definitely will elaborate more once I play more, and we'll let you guys know if I stream it. But yeah, that sums up my thoughts so far. And
I'm queuing it up thanks to you. I'm queuing it up. It's gonna be something I play next. Is it? You might have already said this. Is it only on Xbox or Steam?
It's on Steam. I don't know if it's.
Is it on the Switch? Because I want to play that on the Switch.
Switch is
y'all
in the chat might be able to
ask the internet.
It is on Switch. Yes.
Hell yeah.
That actually would be a good Switch game too. I feel like
it's on PlayStation Plus Premium too. Oh.
Hey, Haley from lunch. Are you playing?
Audrey
playing the game.
Audrey actually ordered the PlayStation Portal. I forgot to mention that. You know, that new handy dandy hand system that PlayStation's putting out. So maybe I wait and play it on my Portal. You know what I'm saying? You know, Portal all over the room. I might Portal on the toilet. You know, do some parrying while I'm there.
Parrying,
and then I can get my trophies.
No, I'm playing Counter-Strike 2. Oh yeah, you gotta get the trophies.
Is late from lunch playing Counter-Strike on his Portal?
Yeah, you playing on your Portal?
On
Probably
your
not.
Portal on your Porta Potty. I don't know.
Jerica, let's talk about Starfield. I want to hear.
Oh my God.
We have. What was that?
That's my excited sound. That's my excited goat. Remember when I did the mad cat?
Yeah.
That's my excited goat.
Guys, I don't know if you guys know this, especially if you're a newer listener. Jerica is phenomenal at animal impressions.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Don't try to butter my roll, you know. It's something I'm pretty proud of. Except I used to say like the horse sound was not the best, but lately I've been surprising myself. I can't recreate the horse, but lately the horse has been great. Maybe I do that at some point. I don't know.
Just surprise it randomly on the stream.
I have to warm it up. It's one of those voices that just can't come out. Like I have to put some Vaseline on my lips, if you know what I'm saying. That sounded really dirty, but you know what I mean? Like you can't just do it. Okay, cool.
How about Australian horse? Wow.
Ooh, oi! I don't know what that was. For some reason, I make every accent say oi. Oi! Oi! I can't do that.
Move on.
Okay, we gotta move on. Okay. Starfield is a game that I'm playing and I can't put down. I'm stating a lot of facts here because I don't know where I want to begin. I do have an outline here. So I'll stick to the outline so I don't go down. Literally me talking about this game is how I'm playing this game. It is just a constant ADHD nightmare. Like, I am
Beautiful.
looking to the left, I see a squirrel, and I'm gonna go after that squirrel. And the squirrel might be in a little spaceship saying, "Hey, come follow me. I got my nuts in here. Come look." I don't know. That's a, and I'm like, "Let me go look at your nuts." You know, like that's not in the game that I know of.
Somebody clip that. Somebody clip that.
But that's what's happening. I'm getting distracted by little things in the game, and then. But I am pleasantly surprised that sometimes these little things that distract you lead to big, really, really cool big things. Um, but first impressions, Starfield. I'm 25 hours in, and I'm very addicted to it. It's checking a lot of boxes for things that I do enjoy in video games, and I'm not comparing it to anything else. But one of my favorite games of all time is Mass Effect. The original trilogy, Andromeda was okay. But I am talking about the trilogy and what they were able to accomplish with that game. This is a totally different game than that. But one thing, when I think of a space RPG, I'm like, can they replicate the story? And it's Bethesda, so no offense to Bethesda, but I'm not expecting a story that's gonna make me cry and get a tattoo of Starfield on my body because I have a Mass Effect tattoo. I don't know if it's going to get to that point, but that is the comparison for me personally. I'm like, is this a great space RPG? Well, so far story has been okay. I will say every mission that I've done, like little side mission, every bit of dialogue I'm picking up as I'm walking through these space cities, I'm listening to because they intrigue me and they're not boring. Okay, most conversations I've had have been interesting where I'm listening to
agree.
more of them instead of hitting X to, speed up the process here. And, I have the captions on when I'm playing games, subtitles, so I like to read ahead, then I don't have to listen to them talk. I'm wanting to hear them talk most of the time. But as far as, like, the vibe of the game, just the general, like, feelings it's giving me. I love the retro. We've heard like space punk, sort of like steampunk, space punk sort of vibe.
Dark academia almost sometimes.
I don't know what that means, what you just said.
Oh.
But yeah, sure. Like I agree with whatever you said. But I like the retro. So a lot of the computers and like the systems in this game, like the spaceship, for example, a lot of the peripherals of the things, I know I'm trying to describe this, remind me of Severance, the show. You know how they're a like it's current day situations and things, but when they go into their work environment, the computers look dated but new. It's like
it almost also kind of reminds me of Silo as well.
Yeah.
Silo?
For sure. Yeah. Silo. Like
Same
I know how we're comparing these to two Apple TV shows. Just worked out that way.
It did. Yeah.
But yeah.
It's just like, I know what you're saying. The retro, but like retro placed in a way that you wouldn't normally think that it would be.
Yeah, and I sort of love that vibe so much.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I really hope that some of our technology starts to look like that because I think it looks really cool.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
But I will say Bethesda nailed, like, even though I haven't experienced the future, maybe one day I will, maybe we'll invent time travel, I don't know. But I feel like if humanity was able to get to space in that way, where we're going to other galaxies and stuff, like, I could see this aesthetic being realistic. Like, they nailed the space realism, because, like, totally Mass Effect's, like, Star Trek, like, and super a little bit more like with Star Wars, a little bit over the top situations. Not to say that they're not, like, some of that's not realistic, but like way more fictional. This is grounded a little bit more in reality of like what it would be like, and spaceships, environments in the future if humanity made it to the stars. Anyways, that's my general, like, first impressions of, like, the aesthetic of the game and how it's making me feel. I don't know if you can relate to, like, the aesthetic of the game, because I keep forgetting you've also played, so I keep stealing the spotlight here, so I'm sorry.
No, I feel like you have a lot more things to say about it than I do, because I really haven't played that much. I feel like I And I definitely, I'll just, you
This
go
will
through, I really
this will
like
be
your
great
layout that you made. I'll
conversation
just comment. Yeah.
because you haven't played a lot and I have, and I had a lot of different emotions to get me to the place where I'm at right now. This
Interesting.
game.
Very deep. Speaking of deep thoughts from Jerica, Chad said, maybe one day I'll experience the future. Deep thoughts from Jerica.
That's it. It's, you know.
No, but I agree. I think that I really do like the aesthetic of it all. I think it looks great.
The music's awesome, Kayla.
It is so good.
It's so good.
The
The
music
soundtrack
is really good. I will say, and I can elaborate on this more later, but I am having some issues with the performance, and I really think that just has to do with my PC and not like the game itself. But I do know some people were experiencing some bugs with it, but
that's
just
nothing
think that,
new
like,
with Bethesda. That's to be
Yeah.
expected. I'm not giving them a pass either. They've been working
Yeah.
on this game for way too long for it to have these problems. I still will have that
Yeah.
to say. But they
'Cause
get by. They get a pass by most people.
Yeah.
I'm not giving them a pass. Some things need to be a little bit better. They need to innovate
Yeah.
in some ways.
I agree. But I think that, like, overall, it's not unplayable. Like, I
Absolutely,
do
yeah,
think sometimes I will, like, be loading up a room or entering a new space, and, like, when I go to talk to somebody and it goes into, like, their, like, chat bubble, it will just, like, stutter and, like, freeze a little bit, and then, like, sometimes the music will, like, stop and, like, their words won't match up with their face. But I feel like I can get past that. It has gotten better since I've modified some of my settings. One of our friends helped us out. But yeah, overall aesthetic is top tier. I love the whole, like, how every single planet so far has looks different. The spaceship is awesome. I agree about the aesthetic. For sure.
So I made this pretty simple, like how to organize my thoughts, because it is complicated. It's a lot of information to go through, and I'm not even spoiling anything. Like, it's just like playing the game and getting started is a whole other conversation. But like, I'm gonna narrow it down: things I like, things I don't like, and then I'll go into the next parts I have in my outline here. Kayla probably will tie into the things I like and the things I don't like. So off the bat, things I like. I love the characters. They're all really interesting. The facial animations look awesome. The dialogue is superb. Like, I love talking to not just your direct companions, but NPCs in the world are also very interesting to listen to, I guess, or even engage in. Maybe pick up a mission. You never know. I've been getting a lot of random missions from random people. Like the first in Jemison, the planet's Jemison, you land in is Atlantis? Am I thinking? No. Is it Atlantis? Yeah. For some reason, I can remember Jemison is the planet. New Atlantis is the first city that you touch down on in this ship, and I just remember getting off the spaceship port area, just walking into town, and like there's 3 NPCs like having an engaging conversation with this other NPC. I think she's like the mayor of the town, and like they're just bitching and moaning. And I'm like, oh, what are they complaining about? I'm just so nosy. That's why I'm like, I'm just walking up like, what are they talking about? What are they, why are they giving this woman so much grief? And then like, there's a small child there that's like, what am I supposed to do here without my mommy and daddy? They're supposed to be
weird.
Yeah, he does. I saw a comment, someone tweeted about the small child looks like a grown human. Someone said it looked like Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones. And like, Barrett Courtney from Kind of Funny actually, tweeted. I know it's not called tweets anymore, but you know what I mean. It's that website or that app now was like, hey, how to, and children still look weird in games. Like, no dev is getting it right. So, but this child is just like complaining about his parents. Not like he got there before his parents. There was a ship that got attacked. His parents are coming though, and like one guy's like, nah, kid, your parents are dead. They didn't make it. And he's like, no, they're coming. I know they're coming. And then this this kid's going off about that, just being like, what am I supposed to do without my parents? And this other person's like, the mayor's listening to all of this, by the way. I feel really sorry for her. And then this other NPC is like, oh yeah, I arrived here and basically all my bags aren't here. This is supposed to be this kind of experience. I've never had this kind of layover. It's basically, I think she's been, I
Yeah.
don't know, something happened with her getting to the city. Like something happened in transit. She's just
Yeah.
mad about it. And then there's like a doctor, I already forgot what his issue was, but they were all just like moaning. And you could talk to two of them and like have dialogue with them, including the child, which I was just like, let me go check in on Bobby. And the Bobby was actually the name of the child. I said out loud, like, let's see what little Bobby wants. And the kid's name was Bobby. Like, oh no. But I basically told him, no, I don't think your parents are alive. So that was great. I love being an asshole in games. So I was like, yeah, your parents are dead, Bobby.
Your parents are dead. That'd be funny if it was like, would you like to adopt this child? Take it
Yeah,
with you.
won't do that. But I'll makes me to another point of something I like here in a second. So I like the dynamic of all the world feels real and definitely fleshed out. Like you can walk around, like you feel like you're in this city. Like it's not just some of the NPCs, yeah, look the same. A couple of them, you'll be like, well, I've seen you before,
Yeah.
but you have a different voice.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you can't make all of them look different.
but there's
so
a
many.
lot of them though, like at different times of the
Yeah.
day, because there's a day night cycle, of course. So it's pretty cool to see like throughout the day, like how dense the city can get,
Mm-hmm.
and it just makes it feel more alive. So I was really impressed with that off the bat. So I love the NPCs. I like every planet so far. Like at least not. If you land, you have to go into a town to like find people. I think that's pretty realistic. I don't expect to see 5 people in a stranded desert on this random planet. So,
Yeah,
but
for
most
sure.
most like towns and places they're occupied by a good bit of people that you can engage with and possibly pick up a mission from. So, for everything I like, I'll have something I don't like, and feel free to chime in, Kayla.
No, I agree. I have some thoughts about mainly some of my more negative thoughts are around some of the things that you're going to talk about later. But as far as things I like, I agree. I like the conversations with people that I'm having. I have the urge to look around and just kind of scoot about.
Mm-hmm.
Not like Scooter, your character.
That's why I named my character Scooter. She's gonna scoot all over the place.
Yeah.
Like,
because normally, like the type of player that I normally am just mainlining, like honestly. But something that like I mentioned before when we started talking about this is I really loved Skyrim, the game. Like I played so many hours of it and never actually finished the main storyline.
and that could definitely happen here. We've already
Yeah.
sort of experienced some of that.
Yeah, and so I am having a good time talking to everybody. I'm having a good time exploring. I think that's my biggest thing is like I just pick up everything, Jerica. Everything. I pick up everything and I'm like, why did I pick that up? I'm heavy now. And I took your advice about the weightlifting.
So what we don't like are some of the mechanics that are tied to being encumbered. I don't like it. I don't like it a lot. Like I like it sort of because it does force you to upgrade certain things. Like I get that it's a part of the gameplay loop, whereas one of my tips for Kayla and a few other people that are playing that start playing, I like level up your weightlifting so you can carry more stuff, because you're gonna like, it's just not fair that like Bethesda puts all this stuff in their games and then like, and for me, I'm trying to make some money in the game, so I'm gonna pick up the styrofoam cup. You would think, oh, it doesn't weigh a lot, but when you pick up like 500 styrofoam cups, it starts weighing you down. I didn't do that, but everything has a weight tied to it. So like if you're picking up resources and like picking up guns that maybe you want to try later, it sucks because like I have like 5 guns that I like using a lot, so I keep them on me at all times because I never know what I want to use. Sometimes I swap around, and then sometimes I don't have ammo for certain weapons, so I have to use this other gun as like a backup.
Yeah.
So like when I get to a place where I'm like, oh, there's like 3 new guns that I want to pick up, but I start adding them to it, and then you can still move around, but like you can't really sprint. And then as soon as you have too much stuff that you're carrying, you can't fast travel anywhere. So I got myself in a couple of places, like especially like if you're exploring a planet where there's not a lot going around, like there's literally things for you to scan, which sound, that's a whole other thing. But I had to do a mission where I scanned a lot of stuff. That was really boring and I hated it, but it gave me a lot of money, so I did it. But the planets, some of the planets are pretty desolate, and you're just scanning like plants and stuff. And I just kept walking. I went for a long time.
It's giving Death Stranding.
Yeah, a lot of that, a lot of walking. And I just had too much on me, and I got to the point where like literally I cannot put this stuff down because I really want to sell it. I don't want to lose out on
You're
what
just
I
like,
have. Yeah, so like I had to walk all the way, like sprint and then stop and walk very slowly and to build up my oxygen levels again. And then I'd sprint again, and I have to wait. And I'm just like, I get it, and it's gonna get easier. You just have to work for it a little bit. So I don't know,
sure.
like those are some of the little things that like are just tied to Bethesda games. Which if it wasn't in the game, then it wouldn't be a Bethesda game. But it's also something where I'm not like, this will not be the game of the year because of things like that. Like I don't think Bethesda will ever have a game of the year. I don't know if that will ever happen for them because just so many other games have evolved RPGs in better ways. But it's still their thing. Like I don't want them to ever. Sometimes I want them to change it, sometimes I don't, because they are just good at making these games.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a whole other topic for another time about, like, should Bethesda change how they make games? Like, obviously they shouldn't because they're very successul. But it's annoying.
It's a double-edged sword, I feel like, because while there are some things that, like, make it, you know, notably from Bethesda, there are some of those same things that make it not as enjoyable for some people. So I think they probably just have to weigh the pros and cons, like from their perspective. But maybe that's why we're here to give feedback. You know, hey, Late from Lunch said apparently you can increase weight limit in the game console. Late from Lunch also said might compromise the experience, but whatever. I hate carry capacity limits.
Well, shoot, I didn't know that. I might go back now, but at this point, I've put in a lot of resources and time to. My ship's got more cargo. I'm very muscular. My scooter has been working out, so she can carry more iron and styrofoam cups to her ship after she finds them. So, anyways. That was sort of mixed with something else I don't like, and I will pair it with something else I do like.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. You know, bouncing back and forth. You know.
I have a point here talking about making my character. I enjoyed making my character. I think there's a lot of realistic options there. I've seen a lot of good-looking characters out there. If my first character, luckily in the game, you can visit, and it's in a store called Enhance, so you can change. You can pay some money and change your features, how your character looks, so you're not stuck looking the way you do, which I'm so thankful for. Because when I made the character first, there were some things. There was things about her that I was just like, well, that doesn't look right. You know, from straight ahead, cool, but as soon as she went this way, I was just like, oh, she had like an underbite. Yeah. No offense to anybody that has an underbite. I think that's beautiful in its own way. I think it's great. I just didn't want my character to have that when I was making, like, because as soon as like even though you're not even looking at your character, like there's no way, like I have an underbite. Something was off, and luckily I was able to go to a facility and get that fixed. But I've seen a lot of characters like look really good. There's a lot of various tweaks that you can make to pretty much every part of the face, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I spent a lot of time looking at like the way that certain features fit my character. I kind of tried to make my character look a little bit like me. That's kind of what I was going for.
You did a good job.
Thank you.
None of the characters look like me.
Except you might be getting to this part, but the hair options are lacking.
Very bad. They took too many Fallout haircuts, hairstyles, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Now, if you have short hair, a lot of great options. If you have a beard, a lot of great options. But women with longer hair, I'm not from the 50s, okay? I know we're trying to keep with that like space red.
A beehive.
Like, I didn't like the hairstyles for like medium to long hair. Not really there.
No. And Aravi in the chat said, pretty sure the hair is because it's complicated to have long hair and have it work with different outfits with the hair clipping through. Sure.
But there's some styles they could do that wouldn't be like long hair. Like even there's not even a lot of
Braids,
like shoulder hair.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of like shoulder length hair, which I have a pony, like I have a bun. The bun looks the best on my character.
Yeah. I have like a shoulder length cut in the game. But yeah, I was a little bit disappointed with the hair options, but I do like all the other things.
They have a lot of great inclusive features, which I love. Yeah. A lot of the faces are not, they're, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Not asymmetrical. Yeah, like there's features in there, like every nose that you picked, like wasn't perfect. And I thought that was actually really cool. Maybe that's why my character has an underbite, you know? No one's perfect. Maybe. But that was an extreme underbite that I had for a minute. Or overbite, whatever.
I like how like you can even have like acne scars. You can have like different other cool scar options.
What's the skin
There's
condition?
freckles.
What's the skin condition where like you're like it is partially like
vitiligo?
Yeah. Like that is an option in this game, which is so freaking cool. Like I loved seeing all those options and like you can even be dirty. There's an option for putting dirt on your face. Maybe you're just dirty.
You can be yellow. You can have some jaundice or something.
You could.
Liver issues. But no, I do think that like majority of it was great except the hair. That's really the only qualm I had. I also go ahead, sorry.
I don't like the walk. You can pick the walk and there's only two options. There's like a feminine walk and a more masculine walk. And I'm thinking realistically Scooter's somewhere in between. So I really wish there was another way of walking, but I'm sure back to Ravi's point, you know, that's probably something really hard to animate because I did not know the game could go into first person or third person. I had no idea. I was surprised.
Yeah. That's going to be a big piece. I want to talk about that later for sure. Yeah, cuz I have a lot of thoughts about that. I have some questions. I would like some input from the chat. What did you think about the like background choices for like your background?
I wish there were more, but I'm sort of glad there's not because I could have spent all like I was already done finishing my character, like creating the character, and then like usually traits or like background lore can go pretty deep, but they kept it pretty. It takes me so long. They kept it pretty like there's not a lot, so. But all of them have very interesting perks. So I tried to really get into my character and what she was about. I made sure that her parents were still alive. Unfortunately, I have to give them money every week, but it has turned into something. It's not like a huge spoiler, but like if you choose to have your parents like be in the game, like down the road, you have to visit them. You go check in on. They have an apartment in Atlantis, and then like you go in and check in on. Like I just said the same thing. And then at some point they show up at your job and you're like, all right, mom, dad, I love that you're here. And they're like, we're just so proud of you, honey. We just wanted to see what you were doing here. And I'm like, all right, really funny. But you showed up at work. Like, I'm so glad you're here. I love y'all, but like, I'll come see y'all later. And then at some point they send, like, I got a note from them when I played yesterday saying, hey, please come see us. This is urgent. And dad loves playing bingo. Okay.
Oh, no.
He loves playing bingo. And he apparently hit big. And he's like, we want a ship, honey. We want a ship. And like, you've been taking so much, because you can choose to like cut them off and like not give them any more money, which I almost did. But I'm a nice person and I'm making a lot of money off iron off this other random planet. So I'm going to still give them money. But they want a ship and like dad gifted it to Scooter. Like her dad gave her this ship that he won. And so like I got a whole ship from that choice. And I don't know.
That's actually pretty cool.
It's really neat. Like, so I could, and then like I also picked that my character was a bounty hunter and they were a neon street rat, which I've been to Neon. It's a pretty cool city that you'll eventually get to. And I've taken on a few bounties and like you have more dialogue choices. Like you'll have an extra dialogue choice saying, oh, you were a bounty hunter, so you can say this. Or
that's cool.
And when I visited Neon, because I was a Neon street rat, I was able to be a little bit more aggressive with some more dialogue choices. And you won't be able to do that unless you pick those traits at the beginning. Yeah. So
I like that. It's nice to know there's payoff for those because I picked sculptor.
Which I'm really interested to see where that takes you.
It's funny because, you know, when you're first meeting some people, again, no spoilers, like with the like Constellation and things like that, like they are like, wonder what this person could be useful for. You're just some dumb sculptor. Like they're kind of making fun of me and bullying me. And I just want to be creative, you know? I'm just trying to like make some shit, you know?
You just happened to touch this rock that made you do stuff, and now they're like, let's study you.
Yeah. And so exactly. I think I remember some of the perks where like you get, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because you're like good at making art or like stuff, but I do have an extra perk in persuasion for some reason.
Nice.
And also like creative things like crafting. I have some upgrades in. I haven't really seen the payoff from that yet. I'm sure there is, especially if you've seen some stuff for you. But yeah, that's one I chose. I like to always pick, like, if I get an option like this for a backstory, I like to pick some that are kind of like, I don't know, kind of that seem less desirable, just to see what happens.
Just see what I like what you said, like, you know, just seeing like so far, like all the traits I picked or backstory, I forget what they're called, like have had payoffs. Like I've seen how that's impacted my game already. Like it was pretty soon that I saw those things. That's cool. You know, have a reaction in the world.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's all for the character creator, I think. Did you want to talk about environments, or did we already?
Yeah, well, I mean, I could touch on like something I don't like, but I get it. I just wish. So every city I've been to has been amazing. The environments of towns and stores. There's unfortunately no map. There's like a space map, which is also something I don't like. I don't like the, like I am constantly in a frickin' menu all the time in this game when I want to move around. And like I'm always hitting the wrong button and I'm zooming out or I'm zooming in too far, or like here's the thing, like I get what they're trying to accomplish with like just having you remember where you go, cuz like if I went to Neon City and I picked up a bounty from somewhere and now I'm like going back to pick that up, like don't have any recollection of like where that was. And there's not a map when you land to show you this is where the trader, the Gal Bank is, where the trader outlet is or whatever. I forget the name of the store. It rewards you by getting used to the cities and getting like actually learning them, which is a cool thing because like
it is.
And some of the cities like it's forcing you to learn. It is like, and if you don't have like all day to play games, it's sort of like it's irritating. Like just show me where I go to sell this thing, right? Or where, you know, which for your missions you can select, and they'll show you like you'll have like a little dot show up where you're supposed to go for that mission. But if you're looking for anything that's not tied to a mission, you are on your own trying to find it. So
yeah, for sure.
But as far as like the environments of the cities are awesome. They're I think every town feels very real and alive. Your ship is also in the same boat. The ship's great when you start hiring people and like having more companions go with you on different missions. They're in the ship talking, and they'll just say random stuff to you as you're walking by, which reminds me of Mass Effect. I wish I could have dialogue with everyone on the ship. Like I just hired this doctor. I was able to persuade her to come on board for a smaller salary because I didn't want to pay her as much as she was asking, but I was able to persuade her by having a sense of adventure. Come on.
Ooh.
She's like, okay, fine.
Come on, get on the ship.
But she just says, hello, how are you? I'm so glad to be here. I can't have any other conversations with her. It's just your main companions. And even with them, like you only have a set of things that you could talk to them about before you run out of things to talk to them about. I feel like in Mass Effect there was tons. Like there was almost to the point where like I can't talk to another person. I'm so tired talking to this person. So there's not as much of that in this game, like in the ship environment or whatever. But outside it, like in your cities, like there's plenty of people to talk to and ask questions to. So if you get tired of the people you're traveling around with, touch down in a city. I promise you'll find an NPC that will be interesting or at least give you a mission. But back to what some of the things I was sort of like in between some of the things I like and don't like. But the planets, I did this one. There was a mission I had to do last night where I had to scan like plants. Like literally, there's a requirement when you land on the planet. Like you'll see I forget what it says. Like scanning a certain percentage
Yeah.
And like it's plants, it's animals, it's minerals that are under the ground. Like you have to use your scanner and scan all these things and get it to 100%. Like one of my missions was scan this planet 100%.
That is so much.
It took like an hour and a half for me to get this
crazy.
done. Like looking for all these stupid plants. You have to scan not just one plant.
You have so much commitment.
You have to scan like 5 of these plants.
Yeah.
And it was just back to back same environment stuff, which I get it. They have a lot of planets in the game, but I'm sure there could have been like maybe some give or take to where like have less planets to travel around that you can land on, but have the worlds feel a little bit more real. Like
unique.
Yeah, it was like copy and paste for a lot of the planets. From my experience so far, scanning that one planet was, I felt like I was in the same place, but I landed in a few different places on the planet. But I'm just like, well, this looks like the place I was just at that's 500 miles away. So
you feel like the cities are really cool, but the actual like terrain is not necessarily.
Yeah, and you know, I haven't played No Man's Sky since it came out, so I can't even compare to that. Not that I like procedural generated things. I do like more handcrafted locations. That's just, you're just always gonna have a better experience with that. And with this, like,
I agree.
Some little places that you visit are like there's bases that you can go raid and investigate, and there's like temples and stuff and other various or like world structures,
elements.
Yeah, there's stuff that you will see on your scanner, but like once you see one, you've seen a couple of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, it just doesn't prompt you to go explore. Like the scanning, I think the scanning's there to force me to want to do some of this stuff. Like this mission, like, was to get me outside of that, because like I've just never been one on like exploring a planet that I know is just, I don't know. I think maybe that was their goal, to like get you outside and like explore. And I was like, well, this still isn't worth my time. So
Aravi did say that I have a similar terrain complaint with No Man's Sky. Each planet just feels the same. I'd rather have Minecraft style with different biomes / environments on a planet.
For sure. Yeah, that would have been an awesome, and like just like there's so many planets you could land on in Starfield. I don't even know the actual number, but I feel like that's one too many. I feel like that we definitely need less planets to visit and just have them have a little bit more. That's me being wishy-washy, but that's what I would have definitely enjoyed. There's
1,000 planets.
Okay, so there you have it. That's why every planet you land on might not have a whole lot going on. Okay, so they did, which was, I guess that's realistic. Maybe, you know, all these planets in real life don't have a lot going on them for real.
That's fair.
But it doesn't excite me to go explore. You know.
Yeah.
That's one of I'm not comparing this game to Tears of the Kingdom, but like Tears of the Kingdom's Breath of the Wild like was the first game that like I loved exploring. Usually I'm sort of like you, Kayla, where I just mainline the thing and go. But with exploring planets in Starfield, it is just not fun for me. There's not a reward for looking behind this rock. Like you're just gonna scan another plant that you can harvest, and I don't know what you can use the plant for. No one's wanted it from me. I haven't sold it yet. If anything, it's probably gonna only make me $5, so I don't know. Anywho.
I agree. I don't feel like I've experienced a ton yet of the like planet / terrain exploring, but I like exploring the cities, like walking around the cities and like going to each building, like each like major city you're kind of in, and like I open all the doors, I look at all the desktops to see if there's any interesting. But no, I definitely could see that, especially if there's 1,000 planets. That was just me Googling, like that was only a couple sources, but so really quick, I feel like this whole kind of next section kind of encompasses a similar except the progression skill tree. Let's talk about that. I haven't done a ton of upgrading yet, but I will say I like the way the skill tree looks. What do you think about the skill tree? That kind of thing.
Do me a favor. I have to pee so bad where I can't even listen to what you said and think about my answer. Do you mind sharing? We'll come back to that. Do you mind sharing what you think about the gunplay? Because have you been able to shoot people yet in this game, Kayla? Okay. Mention what you think about that, and then I'll come back. I just have to pee really quick. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay, great.
for sure. That is so funny. Well, I will read our reader mail. Like Aravi was mentioning earlier, we were talking separately about and I feel like this ties into the gunplay because first and third person is something that is very, what's the word I'm looking for? It very much affects the way that I play a game. Shooter games are something that are really my forte and like what I'm used to. So being able to switch freely between third and first person is, like Jerica said earlier, not something that I'm used to at all. And I didn't know how I was gonna like it and like what I was gonna want to prefer. So I asked our friend Aravi Josh in the chat. He's been on several episodes. If you have seen him in any of them, I asked a simple question: are you playing Starfield in third or first person? And what I got back was a novel. I should have expected this, but basically, he has very specific criteria for uh what the way that he plays. So let me know if you relate to this. If you guys prefer third or first person, do you like that this game offers both? What do you normally play in? But he said there are two settings that are important to him. If you go to equip a helmet at the bottom, there's a toggle that says something like hide helmet in breathable atmosphere. That is cool, by the way, that it offers that. I didn't know that until he pointed this out. I'm curious if Jerica knows when she comes back. Um, but if you go to equip a spacesuit at the bottom, there's also a toggle that's hide spacesuit in settlements. That is pretty cool too because you can actually see your outfit. But basically every single scenario, something else is he's picks. Jerica, we are talking about because it does tie into how I feel about the gameplay, the third and first person scenario.
Yeah.
Like being able to switch back and forth. So Josh Aravi, for those in the chat, sent me a novel about. I asked him, I was like, what do you prefer? Do you like the third
Josh,
person or
also
the first
known
person?
as our Nintendo expert slash Final
Yes.
Fantasy expert slash what else is he an expert at? In terms of games, he does a lot of things also beyond games that I'm just always just impressed with. But he's an expert on a
Yeah,
lot of game things. Okay,
for sure. So basically, he has a different mode for every single
you
scenario.
should
So,
definitely
like
look at
for
that episode.
example,
You should definitely look at that episode if you love Final Fantasy and want to learn about every Final Fantasy game. Go to youtube.com/. jkgames podcast to watch that Final Fantasy. Josh talks about every single game, and it's so amazing. He
it
made
is
a
a lot.
he made a presentation. He made
He did.
a PowerPoint.
It was beautiful.
It was epic.
I loved it.
And we're all wearing wigs. It's great. Okay, sorry, small
It
plug.
is really fun. It also is YouTube exclusive, so you guys might have
Exclusive.
missed it. Yeah, exclusive boy.
Worldwide exclusive.
Mr. Worldwide. Anyways, so you should definitely watch it. It was really fun. So basically, in his method, in cities, safe areas that are cities, towns, and settlements, third person. In safe areas, cities, town, settlement, but inside a house or close quarters, he's in first person. Exploring a planet outdoors, but it's safe, third person. In any combat, first person. When the ship is flying, third person, and he uses the controller for flying specifically and the keyboard for everything else. That's a lot. That's a lot of different scenarios, I will say. But what I think he's getting at is important because to me, I prefer combat in first person. I am a first person shooter type of gal. That is what I prefer. As far as the actual gunplay, it is not the best. I will be honest. It's not the worst I've experienced. This is very specific, and maybe not everyone feels the same way, but
Mm-hmm.
Titanfall is one of my favorite games of all time. I love Titanfall. Jerica will eventually play it for me. But it kind of feels similar to Titanfall's gunplay a little bit, and that's the one thing that kind of held me back a little bit on like my enjoyment of Titanfall. It didn't diminish it by any chance because it's still a great game, but it does kind of feel similar to that gunplay. I don't know that. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know that it's like 100% accurate, and I don't know that like the enemies. I don't know how the hitbox situation is. What I'm trying to get at, but it's not the worst. It's not the best. It's fine. It's not my favorite thing about the game, but I'm not necessarily. I didn't go into this thinking it was gonna have the most amazing gunplay. You know what I mean?
Which is
Um,
what you did the right thing.
yeah, I wasn't like, yeah, I'm gonna pick this up and that's what I'm gonna get out of this.
So
You know what I mean?
because I also feel like I play the brand new roller coaster of first person shooters. Like if this roller coaster just opened up at Six Flags or Walt Disney World, Universal, you name it, this ride that I'm talking about would be Destiny 2. Because Destiny 2
Yeah.
has the best gameplay or best gunplay I've ever experienced. It feels so
Yeah.
good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
and I think this game is definitely a wooden roller coaster. You know, it's a
Mhm.
little bumpy, but
Yeah,
it gets
yeah,
the
yeah,
job
yeah.
done. It's still like, ooh, that's fun.
But to Arabi's point, to Josh's point, some guns play better than others. I got a modded Grindel, and I love it with that particular gun.
I will say,
That's a really good point.
agreed. And I was gonna say, I know, don't let the bad gunplay scare you, because I will
Mhm.
say, at first I felt the same way, but it does get a little bit better with some of the guns, different
Mhm.
guns. Like I have found that I love using rifles.
Mhm.
And to Josh's point, like I have a few modded guns now that like just feels
Mhm.
so much better. But then again, I know at some point, like I have definitely hit critical shots in the face, if you know what I'm saying, and it still didn't kill them. Or
Yeah,
did it,
I agree.
it
That's
really
what I
didn't
was
do a lot
trying to
of
say.
didn't do a lot
Yeah.
of damage. So and that's what your point made me think of that. So
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it's as realistic per se. You know what I
correct.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I haven't gotten into modding weapons yet. So, and I don't know that I've kind of like gotten a feel of what
You
weapons I
might pick
prefer
up a
because
modded weapon. Luckily
okay,
enough. Yeah. That's
that's
what
good.
I
That's
haven't
good to
modded
know.
any weapons. I just keep picking up people's
Okay.
modded weapons that I kill them and I take their guns. Which I run into that problem of being too heavy after that.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'm a hoarder, Jericho, when it
Oh
comes to
yeah,
games
me
like this.
too.
I pick up everything.
This is not the game that you need to pick up everything.
I know. I
I
know.
told Audrey
So
that
I
too because
learned very quickly.
Audrey's playing right behind us.
Oh, that's funny.
She stopped playing Destiny to play this, and
Wow.
she played it all day yesterday. So if that's to show you how good of a game Starfield is, or at least I
Audrey.
know we have a
This is
few
what you do.
points that are a little not the best. Don't let us like deter you. The game's still very
Yeah.
fun, and I'll get into some of the reasons why I'm also like I love to keep playing. I'm saving the best for
Yeah.
last, so like what I love about this game.
Okay.
But she's playing Starfield.
Aw. So yeah, that's my summary on the gunplay and the gameplay overall. When I'm walking around just like normally, I found what works best for me is being in third person, just walking around. And that's because, and this is kind of weird, and let me know. And again, I'm the same way. I'm not trying to deter you from playing this game because there's something about it, and I think it's just that like, there's something about it that's really looping me back in. But it made me feel a little sick. I don't know, like if you agree with that, and like I've talked about it a little bit, but definitely like when you're in the ship, you've got to be in third person. Like when I was flying around in first person in the ship, like where the HUD is like that,
Yeah.
it was making me like bleh, like because the way that you move and like I can't get my sensitivity quite right,
Okay.
and I gotta figure out. I gotta tweak a couple of things to really make my experience better, like for me. But I've learned that being in third person, just like existing and like walking around and then moving to first person for combat is personally what works better for me. So my advice to you if you're listening and playing this game is just like play around with how you have your settings and how you have like your character. If you're playing on mouse and keyboard, you just use your like scroll wheel thing on your mouse to like kind of adjust whether or not you're in first or third person. You can also do like an over the shoulder, like kind of like midway scenario. So yeah, that's my advice is just make sure like you figure out what works best for you before you like if you like don't like it, and don't give up and try to adjust it to what makes more sense for you. So that's my advice.
I'm playing strictly in first person. Like Perfect. I like looking at my character, but I'm just having way better like the whole experience. The experience as a whole is like much better for first person for me, which back to comparing to Mass Effect. Mass Effect was sort of over the shoulder, third person a little bit, not like super close. There is an official term for like that distance. I don't know, but
midway.
And I thought like, ooh, I'm gonna play this like I played Mass Effect, and like immediately like shooting, like aiming was really difficult. Like as you're playing your character, and anything but first person for me. And I've played a lot of flight sim, so immediately when I got in the spaceship, I was like, first person is the way I have to play. Third person sort of, I can't tell how.
I wish I could.
I could tell, I can get a better understanding of how close I am to things in first person when I'm flying the ship. So, but I love that Josh shared that with you, because I remember him telling me that, you know, picking up the controller, like I think that's how he played No Man's Sky as well.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool, because
it
sort of immerses you into the experience too, because like, all right, now I'm sitting in my ship, let me pick up the controls to like drive my ship or whatever. That's pretty cool. Okay, get into the nitty gritty here as far as like, why am I continuing to play this game? Obviously, we talked a little bit about, you know, some of the things that are just sort of, I don't want this just know this game's gonna take a little bit from you before you enjoy it. It just is. Like, there's gonna be parts of it you're like, ugh. But for everything I encountered that made me not like it made up for it in a lot of other various things. Like the even though I made a point of saying like the planets that you can touch down on and explore are pretty bland and there's not too much to be like explored, I feel like when you follow the, like, at least your main story path, and then you start picking up these other side missions, and they require you to go out to other, if it's a mission that's requiring you to go to this planet for some reason, I'm having a good time. But if I'm just going to this planet just for funds and landing down and like touching down and like exploring, I'm not having fun. But if anything, any place you go that's tied to a mission or an objective, I've ended up having a good time and finding a lot of surprises. Because you tell, like, the environments and planets that are tied to missions are the ones that have been curated, right?
Yeah,
and
have rewarding you for following that,
And so, like, for one example that I'm just like, this is so cool. I'm just in my spaceship and I'm doing a mission, and I do the grab, drive, jump to another system. And when as soon as I got to the system, like, this little ship pulled up and was like, hey, do you have a second? And I was like, sure. It was like, have you I need to talk to you about your ship's warranty. And I was just like, what the heck? It's so funny. Like, I know it's just like one little easy thing, but there's a lot of those things in this game that are just like a nice little surprise. And sometimes it's a funny little joke like that, like a joking situation. And sometimes like you get into a situation where you pick up a note from this other mission that leads you to uncovering this family's past. The mom used to be this like secret agent, and through these notes that you're picking up and reading, like, she has quested her son to go through these trials, and her, like, she basically, I compared this to like it's like Batman's Batcave.
Oh, and that's cool.
I'm not going to give it, like, you might encounter this in the game where basically your investigate is part of this other, like, it all started with one other mission that I did, I feel like 2 little side missions on, and then it took me into this because I noticed something. I could be remembering it wrong, but...
So you could miss this if you're not doing side missions.
I feel like you could. I could be wrong, but okay. I feel like you could. And I think it actually just started from this other ship pulling up to me and saying, hey, is this Charlie 3? And I'm like, who's Charlie? He's like, well, that's what I'd name everybody. You're just the 3rd Charlie of the day. And that's what I'd name everybody Charlie. And he's like, hey, this star system, this planet's having some trouble. Don't go that way. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to check on them. I'm going to save them. If they're having a hard time, let me go help them. And it's not even directly tied to that quest. I just got information from that quest to go investigate this lady's situation, and her son is basically trying to get the inheritance and find out he didn't know his mother was like this big time assassin, and he's like picking up all these clues from his mom, and there's traps and stuff at her lair, and like you have to
Wow.
pick up notes to like, and there's all these other like bounty hunters there to like try to get this loot from this woman's bat cave. And like I ended up figuring it
That is
out
so cool.
and going through all the traps. There's like if you stepped on the wrong square, like these turrets came up and like killed you. But if you could figure out how to get in there, like you get into like it's literally a bat cave. Then there's this like awesome ship that's in there that you get, some really awesome armor, and I wouldn't have gotten that. Was like so far one of the biggest surprises, one of the fun, like the most fun like missions I've been a part of that I had to figure out like what to do next. It was really awesome.
That really encourages me to do like, so I haven't been offered I've been offered some side missions, but that encourages me to kind of maybe pursue some more of this because that sounds really fun.
Like
that sounds like a really cool like kind of butterfly effect thing.
yeah, there's a I don't know how often that's going to happen in the game, but so far that's been the biggest surprise. But there's a lot of, not to that level, but there's a lot of missions like that just you don't know how it's going to. And then with your dialogue options, you get to, you know, I'm leveling up my persuasion so I can really good at persuading people.
Yeah.
Another
I
mission,
like doing that a lot.
Another mission I was a part of, basically I was helping this team develop this new spacecraft. And like one of the guys that you end up working with, the older gentleman, he's like a CEO of this company. He just sort of helps out Constellation for fun. His name's Walter. Is just like, hey, can you? I like you. You've been doing.
I've seen this guy.
You've been doing a lot of good work here. Can you go to one of these stations in outer space? They're building ships. That's his company. They build spaceships. He's so like, funny. This team, they can't get their ideas together. They need to start producing something. Can you go help them out? You know your way around ships. Like you've been flying ships. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna go for you. And
that is so funny.
I show up at like their like office, and I show up and they're like having a meeting. There's like 4 people sitting down, and there's a lady standing up giving a debrief on like where they're at on the project. And I show up and they're like, "Oh, you must be Walter's like consult for this. We've been expecting you." And the one guy's like, I'm already the designer. Why do we need this girl here? What is she doing here?
You're intruding on their projects.
Yeah, like they got like imagine like you were working on this project and like your boss just brings in this random outside source just because they can. And that was me. And so I had to help them figure out the next part of their project, and then I had to give like a part of the mission was to give all of them feedback on their part of the project.
Wow, that is so funny.
And like this one girl wanted to like she wanted the ship to have like be like a cruise ship, like be massive and be something that families want to go and get on and use. And I was like, do you really think that's a good idea? Do you think people would find that interesting? And I was like, tell me why you think that's important. And they're like, well, when I was younger, me and my family, we used to take a lot of cruises, just something I'm personally attached to. And I was basically like, this company's known for making like fighter ships. Like that's not gonna, I don't think y'all need to pivot in that direction.
Not gonna cut it.
I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. I would not bring that up to the investor. Let's hold on. Let's put a pin in this and come back to it later. So
I'm so weak to put a pin in it.
And at the end of it, like I'm finally convincing this team, like this can go a lot of different ways. I looked at some of the outcomes. Not to like I actually saved a lot because I wanted to get my persuasion. Like I kept not passing the persuasion checks, and I'm like, I really want to convince this lady to put all the money into this ship and make it the baddest ship ever. Finally got that, but literally there's still a lot of butterfly effect situations that could happen where you might not get the same outcome as me. But I ended up having to do a few things for them, like testing the ship and stuff, and I come back and the team's still not rallied behind what they want, and they can't make up a decision. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna do it. Like, she's like, do you have any ideas? Like, what's your idea then? Let's hear it. And I'm like, team meditation. I want to walk through you through a team meditation activity. And I was like, and I made them repeat after me. I was like, all right, everyone put down your phones, put down your papers. And I was like, repeat after me. And it was so cheesy. It was just like, I have the best ideas and I can work as a team. And then they would repeat it and like they're like all together. I have the best, I may have the best ideas and I work great with this team. And then like one guy was just definitely dragging his bit. He's like for the team, like after everyone's already chanted.
You could have fired him.
I didn't try. I should have tried. Anywho, there's a lot of really fun stuff like that in the game. Yeah, it was great.
I need to do some more. I need to
I scummed all over that
matters
place.
to me. Yeah. She really said, "Let me scoop my way into this business meeting."
They were
and
so
make them do
pissed
what
that I was
want."
there. They're like, "You're
Oh,
just
I'm sure.
you're just
What if
Walter's
someone tries to
friend.
kill you later.
You're just
Yeah.
Walter's friend." But they ended up building a badass ship for me though, thanks to me and my feedback I
That's
gave
awesome.
them. But I can't.
Wow. So you got it.
To this other point, yeah, they built a ship and Walter gave me one for free since I helped design it. And then
Thanks, Walter.
but I can't fly this ship yet. It's awesome. It's like the best ship. I think it's probably one of the best ships in the game now. But I can't fly it because I have not leveled up. Back to your point about the skill tree. See, I'm bringing this back. I don't have my piloting skills are not high enough level because I can't even fly this ship. I can't even pilot it.
You helped design this shit. Like you helped design it.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was the thing I had to do. So I was like, gosh, darn it! I can't even use this ship yet. So I have to put time. The skill tree is really cool though. I like it.
There's
I think
a lot to it.
There's a lot to it, and I think it's not just you saying, "I have a skill point. Let me level up this thing." You have to unlock it,
strategic.
and then you have 3 tiers to each thing you unlock that get better and better as you complete like these tasks. So like with weightlifting, in order to level it up fully, you have to, before you can even add more strength to your character, you have to carry, I don't know, walk 1,000 steps with 70% of your payload or whatever tied to you or whatever. So until you complete that, you can't even level that up. Like they have little challenges within the skill, like the traits that you could unlock and upgrade. Like it's not just you unlocking it. Like you have to put work into it afterwards. So it's not something that you're gonna level up fast. So I think that's cool. It makes it a little bit more engaging and something that you really want to put. What do you want to put your effort into?
Yeah, and you have to kind of decide what way you're gonna go because like you do have to be kind of strategic about it, like what your character's gonna be like and what you want to focus more on. And I really like that aspect of it.
Yeah, I like it. It's cool. I'm just sort of bummed that I didn't, because there's a lot of them, so I didn't even read much about the ship stuff because I didn't think that was gonna be a thing. So
yeah.
I don't really do a lot of the flight, like the combat in space it's fine, but it's not like why I'm playing this game.
Yeah, I'm at a part where like no story spoilers, but like I am having to like sneak by like some ships and like try to remain undetected. Like you technically can fight them.
Oh yeah.
But, like it's hard.
It is hard.
I'm trying to like I'm normally the type of player that like dives headfirst into combat and like doesn't really like I'm more like offensive player. So I was like, oh, I can just do it. And I was like, they lit my ass up. I was like, okay, well, we gotta strategize how we do this.
Which to my point, make a lot of saves because I sort of got myself in a hard spot because I kept dying in this. Like they saw me no matter what. I could not sneak by, but they were just so overpowering, where like they kept killing me and I couldn't grab jump fast enough to get out of there, so I just kept dying over and over. And luckily I had another save that wasn't from too far back, but I was literally I couldn't get out of that situation. Like I kept dying, and I was like, so I had to go from a past save and reload. So definitely make some saves, especially when you think you're about to go into a fight that you don't know if you can handle. Go ahead and save before you do that, just in case you want to be like, I'll come back to this later.
Oh, hey, thanks, Ultra Wham, for gifting this sub.
I read that as Ultra W Ham.
Ultra W Ham, Mr. Ham. Thank you.
Thank you.
Late from Lunch did say Kayla loves to send it. Yes, I do. Late from Lunch knows that from Fortnite, which, by the way, I need to stream some more Fortnite. But I do love a full send. Not all games you can full send in. I will say, my team's fault in the chat. First time chatter, welcome to the chat. said, I wish I had VATS to use as a crutch like in Fallout.
Yeah, that's one thing I wish they would have like. Well, you sort of have a similar thing when you are pilot, like when you're in a space battle in your ship. Like they have a some like targeting system. Reminded me of that. But as far as like when you are just your body and a gun, you have none of that, which is different for sure.
Yeah,
I miss it.
It is different. It makes me kind of, even though like we've talked about, you know, kind of love-hate relationship with some of the choices that like Bethesda makes. Like it does make me kind of like nostalgic and miss some of the games that like I've played from them before. Like I do kind of want to boot up Skyrim and play some. I don't know, like I mean, you don't about it.
You could play Skyrim on anything. I think you play that on a calculator. Yeah. So just grab a calculator and play it.
Basically, yeah.
Oh, I forgot what I was about to say. Oh.
It's okay. We've had a lot to say. Basically, what it sounds like general consensus is we would both recommend this game. Jerica's personalized recommendation, even including to me, is that I need to give it some time to let myself be frustrated at some things, but after you get over a certain hump, it gets a lot better.
Correct. Like. And I mean, from what the buzz on the street is, like, I have not spoiled myself yet, but I'm starting to see, without giving spoilers, like, I'm starting to see where the story is going. I don't know what's going to happen, but I can see where this is developing, and this game's going to get even more fun to play. Obviously, you're going to get better guns, you're leveling up your character, you're getting buff, so you can carry stuff, you're making money. But, you know, what I have read without spoiling myself is that you get to play, you're going to get new game plus with this game.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. I'm excited to see where the joy in that is. I don't know yet what happens, but I'm excited. I could speculate and I could see where it's headed. I'm just excited. Like I love that there's a lot of people out there that are replaying this game because they're having such a good time with the new game plus that, you know, I might honestly just try to, I want to try to limit to like one story mission and then I go do a side mission that is like one side mission that's interesting to me. So that way I want to progress enough where I'm not sitting in my first playthrough forever. Like I'm going to actually try to go through the main story, which apparently can be beat like 15 hours or so. I might be incorrect, but it's definitely not as long as I thought, like the main story beat. So are you looking it up?
Yes.
Nice.
What gave it away?
No, not the typing at all.
Oh, interesting. Okay, this is a wide range, but I said, how long is the main story of Starfield? Between 30 to 40 hours.
I feel like I read that it was less than that, but you know, that might be right. Like I said, I don't.
If you rush through the game without breaks for story elements, you can complete it in as few as 23 hours.
Okay.
So maybe 23.
Okay.
Any other? I want to address Jordan OMG's comment, but I want to wait until after. Like, is there any closing? What's your closing thoughts? Elevator pitch for Starfield.
It's a Bethesda game. You are definitely going to get the things you love about Bethesda, things you don't like about Bethesda games in this game. But if you love space, you love a good soundtrack, you like just talking to very interesting characters, you're going to love this game. But I will say you're going to have to put a little work into it because the menu system is confusing. The inventory system is it's just dated. It's very Bethesda, and they have not evolved how that can feel for the player. So it's a lot of inventory management, but just stick to what you want to do. Don't let it overwhelm you. You don't have to pick up every styrofoam cup. I promise you that iron that you just picked up, you'll be able to buy if you need it. Don't overthink it. Just go with the flow. Do the things that you find interesting. That's it. Don't try to do more than that. You could literally, to Kayla's point with Skyrim, like you could literally never beat this game. You could just become a space pirate and go do those missions, like if you wanted to. So play the game you want. There seems to be a benefit to beating the game and going into New Game Plus. So if you're like me and want to see what that's about, I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna do one main story mission, then I'm gonna do a side mission that I'm interested in. So
I can't wait to see you stream more, Jericho, whenever you decide.
yeah,
to
now that I
guys.
know my way around and I've built a ship, like I can bring y'all in and see my new ship.
Yeah.
So
Welcome to my crib. Ooh, well,
I could do
thanks,
that.
Jerica.
I'll do
I would
that.
love a
Then
tour.
the next time I stream, I'll make sure and set up in the ship so I can be like, "Welcome to my ship," and I can introduce you to my
Yeah.
crew and what I know about
Love
them.
that.
But yeah,
I would love that. I
So-
would eat that shit up.
so far
Love it.
Starfield's really is a contender for game of the year for me though. Like I am having so much fun with it. It is hard for me to put down. Like literally the past 2 days is all I've done.
That's
The whole
awesome.
day, pretty much. Yeah.
I love when a game encompasses you like that. I'm not quite there yet with this one, but I hope that for me. I really do. Speaking of, though, it's Jordan OMG, hey, in the chat, says, have you guys checked out Palia or Fae Farm? No, I have not. I really wanted to both of the two games earlier in the stream. If you guys want to go back or like wait till the episode comes out, I also talked about my experience with Sea of Stars so far, and I have kind of put a lot of time into both of those games, and kind of have been lacking on my sim life kind of situation, which is the games that I normally prefer. One I mentioned last episode, I was playing Fable Dome, which is a really great city builder type medieval style game. I got a little frustrated with it, so I kind of put it down for a minute. All my people are dying. I don't know why. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. But no, I have not played those, but both of those are on my list. Both of them are kind of similar-ish. Palia is like an MMO type, like life kind of like sim type game. But Fae Farm just came out this week, and that was what I was mentioning earlier in this episode, which is funny because you said it.
I loved how I.
Yeah. It just looks so cute, and I have to pick it up. I'm gonna pick it up. I feel like this would be a fun game to stream, so I'm gonna pick it up on Steam, and kind of because for some reason I'm having a love-hate relationship with my Switch right now. I think it might be time for a new one.
Oh, they're working on one.
So I'm gonna wait, obviously, until that comes out. But I'm having some stick drift issues.
Oh no!
Yeah, and I know that's technically fixable, but I have the original, I got it when the Switch came out. Like I've had this.
You got the OG
for
Switch,
while.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it might just be time. I might have a little funeral and I definitely will get whatever they're working on next.
I'd like to be invited to the Switch funeral.
Yeah.
I'll wear all black and everything.
Yes, perfect. Or we can wear like the red and blue of the
Yeah, we should do that. Okay, cool. Yeah. Wear a Mario hat.
But my answer is no, I have not. But both of those are on my list to play soon. So,
hey, one last thing. Did we answer the listener question? CC had a question for us. Did we answer that technically?
No, I forgot. Well, kind of. I mean, so CC Cognitive Clips in the chat. Don't know if you're still here, but asked on Instagram. We did have a question of the week. I apologize. I asked it a little late, but it was just questions that you guys had for us about Starfield or Sea of Stars. Now, one question that Cognitive Clips did ask was, which one has the better RPG elements or progression system? So I do feel like those are two different questions. I think as far as the RPG elements, I haven't played, I feel like, enough of both of them to really compare and contrast. It's just two totally different games. One being very much more linear than the other. But I would say as far as like RPG elements, I would say definitely Starfield. And as far as the progression system, I see both having like a really interesting progression system, because one in Sea of Stars, because I didn't really expect it to be what it was, and it's hard to describe, but you do have progression for both characters, even though you're kind of like maining as one. And the progression and the upgrades that you can get kind of coincide with each other, which is kind of cool. But like we were talking about with Starfield, I really like the skill tree in that as well. So both of them have things that I like. It's kind of hard to compare them because they're pretty different. So, but that's kind of like my short answer for that. So definitely follow us on our socials so that like when we do ask these questions, we love for you guys to be engaged. I'm just happy that you guys are here engaging in the chat too. I thank you guys all for watching live. We love you
Woo!
guys.
Maybe one
We
day
appreciate you.
you'll get to know what my algorithm's like on TikTok
Oh yeah.
and Instagram. If you
Mm.
missed that part of the conversation, hey, I'm definitely putting that behind a paywall for sure. At least $1.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. You should follow us if you ever want to know that information.
Yeah. And thank
Mhm.
you guys too who all sub on Twitch, because we really don't have like any perks really yet. Like that's something like we do have on our like to do eventually, but it really
My
means a lot to us
algorithm
that you want to
included.
support us that way.
I don't know if I could just show
Yeah.
like it sounds dirty, like, hey, you want to see my algorithm? But I'm just gonna show like what pops up when I'm browsing TikTok or Instagram.
Like if you guys missed it, it's probably weird because your TikTok is so new. Like I bet it's so weird. Like mine is very curated. It's basically like animals, like Taylor Swift because I'm a Taylor Swift fan, and just like random
There's this guy that like
gardening.
I like this guy shows a lot of sneaker stuff shows up on mine. Which is great because I like sneakers. But there's this guy on TikTok that I love so much because he sings to people that have fake Nikes, like they're not real.
Oh my god, that's
And
funny.
he's like, "Oh my god, oh yeah, that's not how Michael Jordan looks." Yeah, it's just something
that's
like
very
that.
much you coded.
Yeah, so that I do. He shows up a lot on my TikTok.
That is so funny. I feel like that is something that you would do.
He just likes to make fun of people's fake shoes. I love it. All right.
Well,
On that
we appreciate
note,
you guys. Yeah. Gotta go.
There'll be more where this came from if you liked it next time.
Catch us on the flippity flop. Keep an eye out for Jericho's streams. Make sure you follow us on Twitch if you're listening after the fact.
Yeah, you'll
so
get
that you
notified
can
if I'm in
notify.
space.
Space boy, scooter boy. Good night.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.